good. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to our regular council session of Wednesday, February 28, 2024. Welcome council, staff, and our visitors to the gallery today. Appreciate people being here, and as well Mr. Hahn, who is our municipal advisor. Jason is here today. Welcome, sir. I'll call the meeting to order. We acknowledge that we're in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. There's an agenda that's been circulated. Ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please. Moved by Councillor O'Telling, seconded by Councillor Porter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. 2.2 is approval of the minutes. So the minutes of the January 24th, 2024 regular council meeting have been circulated. Ask for a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gilroy, seconded by Councillor Gould. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. 2.3, business arising. Mr. Harrod, our CAO, is going to review the business arising from the January 24th council session. Mr. Harrod.
Thank you, Worship. Business arising is at pages 10, 11, and 12 of council's package today. Two parts, business arising from the last council meeting, January 24th. A number of items have been completed and a few are still outstanding. Demolition order for 64 Taylor Road, River Hibbert is in progress, still outstanding. A number of items completed with the with respect to the new fire department bylaw that has been complete. Amendments to the dangerous and unsightly premises policy is complete. Proponent approval advisement regarding rezoning of PID 25477-431 from rural resource to rural industrial is complete. Proceeding with the hybrid model for the election for 2024 is marked in progress, but in fact, we are proceeding with that, so we're going to mark that complete. Final deregistration of 40 Chapel Street, which in Spring Hill, which is the former Catholic Church, is in progress, as are a number of agreements of purchase and sale with respect to surplus properties at 22 Drummond, 25 Junction Road, 53 Junction Road, and Robertson Avenue in Spring Hill. Cancellation of the request for proposals for the construction of 2 fire stations in Spring Hill and Parsboro. The RFP has been canceled, and in fact, the new RFP has been issued for the construction of fire station in Spring Hill, and that closes on March 11th. So we wait with bated breath the results of that one. And we have moved the construction of a new fire station for Parsboro into discussions for the capital budget, and that will be forthcoming later on in March. So I'll stop there, Your Worship, before I go through the ongoing action list to see if there are any questions.
Any questions from councillors in regards to Mr. Harris' report to this point? Seeing none, carry on, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. By their nature, these items are ongoing, and so none of them are complete. Obtaining a municipal heritage plaque for the Mattinson Hansford Cemetery is in progress, as is the scheduling of a public hearing regarding a rezoning application by Merville Russian Building Movers 2020 Limited. CJSMA dissolution is in progress. Public highway signage bylaw is noted in the package as awaiting approval from the Minister of Public Works, and Councillor Gould is not standing in his chair, so I know that that is not correct and that that has been complete. In fact, the guidelines for the signage policy is on the agenda for March Committee of the Whole. And sale of surplus properties, 12 Clark Street in Spring Hill. There's a bit of a complicated title search issue there with the way the properties are configured, and so that has not been resolved yet. So happy to answer any questions on that page as well, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions from councillors for Mr. Harrod? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Brings us down to 2.4, public hearings, which we do not have any today. Move right along to number 5, organizational policy bylaw items. So we have Mr. Boone with us. So 5.1, the second reading of Sunrise Landing Project Development Agreement, PID 255-17459, Sunset Community. Mr. Boone, Director of Development Planning, can lead us through this, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've condensed what's a very large package into a few slides, and the clerk's going to present those shortly. So we're waiting for the slides to come up, Your Worship. The Sunrise Landing project, community-based project through Sunset Community Inc., has been presented to council through first reading We held a public hearing, as you're aware, last week. So this has come forward to the agenda for consideration on second reading. As we move forward with this project, second reading is a final consideration by council to move forward with us entering a final development agreement for this site. The location within the village has municipal water. We have worked with the proponent on moving forward on servicing the site with on-site sewer, on-site septic system. So that design will be finalized in advance of the building, of the building permit stage. They have secured access through an adjacent property that will be consolidated in with the main property. That has been approved as an access point for the development into the site through the Department of Transportation, now Public Works. And at this point, the package had very large details on the siting of the various units. We've been gone through all of the policy in respect to the development agreement and the elements that are required under the policy in our bylaw. This area required a development agreement, as you may recall, Your Worship, because of the number of units that are going forward in it. I think we're just on the wrong one there, Shelley. We're in Robertson. Yeah, there we go. So this project is at the point where we're comfortable with the elements of the development agreement based on negotiations with Sunset and utilizing Crossroads, who is going to manufacture the homes in the community as part of the project and operating as project manager. So we have very good details on that information. The only thing that wasn't 100% complete in your package was the landscape plan, and that's an element that we can detail before we execute the final development agreement. Confidence in the information we've shared with the proponent or the discussions in respect to how that would lay out and respecting and making sure there's a buffer from the adjacent homeowners that are there, as well as making sure there's a good pedestrian connection from this community within the community to the main road. So a lot of the clients and the residents from the Sunset community are very much walking folks, and we want to make sure that that element was in place. So at this point, staff is confident that what we've gone through in the complete process, Your Worship, is ready for final discussion, and any questions that should be held by council. Happy to answer any questions. So.
Thank you, sir. So the recommended motion is that council approve second reading of the Sunrise Landing Project Development Agreement for PID 255-17459. And someone like to make that motion, please. Moved by Councillor Hotelling, second by Councillor Redmond. Questions or comments for Mr. Boone in regards to this agenda item? Everybody's happy? It's good. Call for the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Counter-minded nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, sir. 5.2, second reading rezoning PID 2522-8214, Municipality of Cumberland, 60 Elm Street, Spring Hill. Mr. Boone, please.
Yeah. Your Worship, I think we have a PowerPoint maybe for this one that might be a little more condensed. Maybe we can use that one, Shelley, that's okay? So, Your Worship, similar to the discussion we just had on Sunrise Landing, this is a rezoning, so a little bit different, but it has been through the same complete process, has been to council for first reading. Then we advertised and held the required public hearing. There was no written input in advance of the public hearing, and no public input at the hearing itself, as you remember, Your Worship, holding that session last week. This has been a proactive rezoning for the lands in respect to us trying to put these lands into production as far as housing goes. I think that's what I've mentioned at the public hearing. I've mentioned it briefly at first reading. So this is a chance for us to get lands that are adjacent to our lands that are already zoned for residential, multi-residential. And access through Robertson Avenue has always been the plan. So the process was to get more of these sites in place in Spring Hill, multi-residential, to allow larger scale projects. In this case, again, as we said, we were being proactive. This property has gone through another process outside the planning process through request for proposals as a surplus property. So as a side to what we're looking at today, we are moving forward with putting these lands in the hands of a developer that will get us moving forward on residential development in this area. So the legislative authority was in place. In the first slide, the slide that's in front of you now, the discussion is in respect to, so we follow the policy that's in our municipal planning strategy, which talks about the ability to rezone. This area is already designated to allow it to be rezoned from park open space to residential designation, because it has the designation in place, which allows us to create a number of zones, which includes the residential, multi-residential zone. Next slide, Shelley, please, if you don't mind. So the discussion regarding multi-residential allows more flexibility, because obviously in open space park, we can't build residential, so this is the reason we've moved forward with the rezoning request that has gone through the process. A number of lists, I won't go through there, but as of right, you can see there's a lot more flexibility as far as projects that can go on this property. There is still controls in place even in the our multi-zone, your worship, in respect to how many units can happen by right, which is up to 4. Units that can happen up to 16 is by site plan agreement, so it's a little bit more detailed process that involves public notice to adjacent and property owners within 100 feet. And then anything that would go beyond 16 units on this lot in the future, your worship, would require a full development agreement, which is another complete planning process. So lots of checks and balances in place on how this land will develop in the future. Next slide, Shelley, please. So just really a summary of the report that you've seen, part of the package. No financial implications, as I've mentioned before. Environmental, there's no issues in this area in respect to environmental. The community engagement, the public hearing was conducted, as I mentioned, last week on February 21st, duly advertised as per the Municipal Government Act. And basically that the council approved the second reading of the amendment to Schedule A of the land use bylaw. It is references 60 Elm Street, that's in the civic numbering process. The PID is the proper PID, and it's actually accessed by Robertson Avenue, but we have to utilize the civic number because that's part of the process. So, your worship, unless there's any specific questions, that is a summary.
Thank you, sir. So the recommended motion is that council approve second reading of the amendment to Schedule A of the land use bylaw to rezone 60 Elm Street, Spring Hill, PID 25228-214 from parks and open space to multi-unit residential. Somebody make that motion, please. Moved by Councillor McCormick, second by Councillor Porter. Questions or comments for Mr. Boone? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Counterminded nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, your worship.
That brings us down to 5.3, low income tax exemption policy. Ms. Hurdle, our Director of Finance, I believe is going to speak to this.
Thank you, your worship. So we did go over this at COW last week, so I'll just go over it briefly again. So just looking for approval of the amendments to the tax exemption, the low income tax exemption policy, basically increasing the low income amount and the exemption amount by CPI, which is 4% this year. As well as we made a couple changes. The draft policy is attached, and beyond just the number changes, we did take out the requirement for a commissioner of oath to sign the form. We will now be just requiring a notice of assessment, which we already have been. We'll continue to do that, and we will have a staff member sign it. As well as in clause 3.5, we took out the requirement to advertise in a paper, and we will just advertise on the website and the municipality social media, keeping in mind that we do send out the form to everybody that applied in the previous year as well. So that's extra notification. Unless there are other questions, I will stop there.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So the recommended motion is that council approve that the low income tax exemption policy and increase the income cutoff and exemption amounts to $35,776 and $525 be approved. Somebody like to make that motion. Moved by Councilor McCormick, second by Councilor O'Telling. Any questions or comments for Amy in regards to this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Counterminded, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
So 5.4, amendment to Schedule A, the tax reduction exemption policy. Ms. Hurdle, again, please.
Yes, so this item, we also discussed at Cal last week. CAO Harriet presented on it. There was a request from Sunset Community that came forward. Although their property is currently assessed as exempt, they wanted the extra assurance that it be added to our exemption policy. So we brought this item forward to add it to the exemption policy, essentially. So the draft policy is there with the 2 highlighted properties added. The PIDs and information are there.
Thank you. So this before we go to the recommended motion. So the AAN numbers obviously identifiable are there, but not PID numbers. We don't require those? Sure.
No, the actual, this is the tax exemption bylaw, and so the relevant metadata is the assessment account number, not the PID number. So.
Thank you. Recommended motion is that council approve the amendments reflecting the addition of AAN 105-98761 and AAN 04774485 to Schedule A of the tax reduction exemption policy. Someone like to make that motion? Moved by Councilor O'Telling, second by Councilor Redmond. Any questions or comments for Amy in regards to this item? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Counterminded, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Your Worship.
That brings us down to business issues on our agenda, number 6. So 6.1, accessibility committee members. Mr. McCracken, our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, is going to speak to this, I believe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Last week, this was presented to Council. During the Committee of the Whole, the Accessibility Advisory Committee was established in 2021 and consists of representatives from the Municipality of Cumberland, the villages of Pugwash and River Hibbert. The committee plays an important role in reaching Nova Scotia's goal to be accessible by 2030. At least one half of the members of the committee must have a disability or be a representative of an organization that serves persons with disabilities. Last week, a list of people were presented to Council and short bios read, recommending to sit on the committee for this coming year. The committee is being revived with the goal of reviewing and implementing our existing plan and creating a renewed plan for the spring of 2025 per Bill 59, the Accessibility Act. Following people have agreed to remain on the committee: Helen Sims, Catherine Aquino Russell, Lisa Betts, Melanie Prendergast, and Maggie Pitts, and additionally 3 new members are being proposed: Amanda Purdy, Andrea Meekins, and Darryl Fagan. The lead staff member of the committee acting as a coordinator and resource is Stephanie Kalhack, our community engagement coordinator. There's a recommended motion in your package.
Thank you, sir. So the recommended motion is the council approve the appointment of an accessibility advisory committee. Someone like to make that motion, please? Moved by Councilor Porter, seconded by Councilor O'Telling. Any questions or comments for Mr. McCracken in regards to this agenda item? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Counterminded, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, sir. 6.2, early approval capital projects. Mr. Hare.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council just discussed this at Committee of the Whole just about a half an hour ago, so I won't bore everyone with all of the details, but essentially this is staff seeking early approval for a handful of projects for which we want to be in the tender game early enough to get good pricing from contractors and get the work done on a timely basis essentially before the snow flies. The 4 projects, and these are not all of the capital projects that council will consider for the year. These are just the early ones that we believe we need to be in the tender game for. The projects are Parsborough water line replacement at a cost of $1.6 million, and we're seeking approval to proceed with that project contingent on receiving senior government funding. We've made an application to the province of Nova Scotia with respect to this project. The rebuild of Princess Street and Spring Hill, including sidewalk, some work on the separation of storm and sanitary sewers on the street, and the repaving the street from Main Street to Gilroy, near the location of the new elementary school, which we understand will be ready to take students and teachers and others this coming fall. The cost of that is estimated to be $1.1 million. Capital paving in Spring Hill, which is essentially continuing the maintenance and resurfacing of a number of streets in the community, totaling $1.126 million. The streets are listed at page 77 of Council's package, and they are Cowan Street, Maple Street, Gray Street, Lawrence Street, South Street, Elm Street, Clarence to Crossan, Harrison Avenue, Clark Street, McGee Street, McFarland to Church, Clarence Street, McFarland to Church, Douglas Drive, and an allowance for some capital paving. Those amounts add up to $1.1 million. And an allocation for Parsboro capital paving with the details on specific streets yet to be determined of $444,113. These amounts, Your Worship, are proposed to be funded by amounts from the Water Depreciation Fund, Gas Tax, the Spring Hill Reserve, Capital Reserve, the Sustainable Growth Fund, and the Municipal Capital Growth Fund, all adding up to the value of $4.343 million. And so the motion, Your Worship, is that Council approve those projects in advance of the full 24-25 capital budget. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Mr. Harris just outlined the suggested projects. I won't read all those again. It's in the recommended motion. And as he said, it's in advance of the full 2024-25 capital budget approval to be funded per the early approval project funding schedule, which is attached as well. So someone would like to make that motion. Moved by Councilor McCormick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gilroy. Any questions or comments for Mr. Harris in regards to this agenda item? Councilor Gould, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not really a question. I just, the full agenda package is online, right, that people can see?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so that breakdown, I just want to make note that that breakdown is online, that you can see exactly how much money's coming from each of those money sources. So if anyone's interested in that, thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Contrary minded, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. That brings you down to number 7, information items. We had several councilors who are going to speak to this item. So 7.1.1, Councilor Gould, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to, at this time of year, a lot of high school students are getting ready for what is very exciting time for them, playing in a provincial championship with their school teams. So in Cumberland County, we have, I believe, 7 teams that are playing in provincials this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we have one Cumberland County team, the Amherst Regional High School girls team is hosting the provincials, and it takes a lot of work. If anybody's been involved in hosting these events before, it takes a lot of work, and Cumberland always does a great job, and I just want to congratulate. Apparently someone doesn't agree with me. And I just want to congratulate the organizers, and especially all the student athletes who have achieved the opportunity to go to play at provincials. So just wanted to recognize them today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Appreciate that. And they are absolutely right. They do a terrific job. 7.1.2, Councilor Gilroy. Deputy Mayor Gilroy. Sorry. Apologize.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge the outstanding and exemplary service of Lyman Bacon of Warren, who recently retired as Chief of the Trumanville Volunteer Fire Department after 29 years as Chief. I think we owe Lyman a great debt of our gratitude, at the very least, for everything that he's done. He's been actively involved in the county fire service. He's been on every committee known to man in the county fire service, and he's well known not only across the province but throughout the Maritimes as not only being a very, very fine person, but also a person that's looked up to in the fire service. And I'd like to thank him for his efforts on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Gilroy. Appreciate that, and you're absolutely correct. He is a fine gentleman and a true leader in the fire service of Cumberland County. 7.1.3, Councilor Porter.
Yes, Your Worship. First of all, before I acknowledge the person I had mentioned here, I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, both in here and that may be watching live, that on March the 2nd from 11 to 2 p.m., the River Hibbert Joggers Area Community Center will be holding a soup roll and dessert lunch, and they'll be serving corn chowder, turkey soup, and chili roll and a dessert. So if anyone is out and about during Saturday afternoon, feel free to drop in and support them. You can take out or eat in. Thank you. Today I'd like to recognize Alex Poplar. Alex is a grade 11 student at River Hibbert District School. He volunteers at the community center, both in the gym and the front desk, and the food pantry. He is a big advocate for youth in the community and is currently working on securing grants for sports equipment for the youth in the area. Alex also took on the task of applying for a grant through the Urgent Food and Essentials Fund through the United Way, and he's successful in his application receiving an $18,000 grant for the food pantry. To add to his resume, at the recent annual meeting of the River Hibbert Joggins and Area Development Association, he's also taken on the position of a recording secretary. Well done, Alex Poplar. And I'd also like to bring to your attention that his proud mother, Carrie, is in the gallery today, as well as Debbie Methrall, who is the treasurer for the community center, or excuse me, for the Development Association, and most likely helped Alex a little bit along the way for applying for the grant. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Porter, and thank you, Mom, for Alex. Yeah, what a terrific young gentleman, doing a great job, so you should be very proud, and I know you are. So thank you very much, and I can attest to the good food in River Hibbert, so I've tested myself. Thank you, Deb. And Shelley, too. Yeah, thank you for that, folks. Really appreciate it. So the last one is 7.1.4, Councilor O'Telling.
Thank you, Your Worship. Recently, I had attended a meeting with the National Council on Poverty in Millbrook, and the Cumberland partners came up in the discussion, and I just wanted to share how amazing everyone thinks the Cumberland partners are. They are a collaborative group of organizations that meet monthly to share information on opportunities and events in Cumberland, and they started out focusing on youth, but they have really expanded to share all kinds of information and grant opportunities and events throughout Cumberland County. So I just wanted to recognize the Cumberland partners. And I'd also like to recognize everyone that has taken the time to attend the food security summits. We have had 4 food security summits through Cumberland, and the 2 in the gallery were at the last one in Parsboro. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who attended those summits so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Telling. Very important issues for sure, and we appreciate your efforts there as well on behalf of council. Folks, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd ask for motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gilroy. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for attending, and safe journey home. Thank you.